Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Get the Word Out. I'm so excited for my guest, Jonathan Talman, to be on. He found me because he saw the last show that I did a month or so ago with Citizens Action Coalition with Kerwin Olson about what's happening with our energy bills and with data centers and with these mega giant companies taking our land. And he reached out to Project Next Facebook, which is me, and we've been talking for a while. And you've got to hear his story, what happened to his family's farm in Oregon. And it was all because Amazon wanted to put a power line through that land so that they could have a data center. And they took that land with a family farm that did not want to be sold. So we're going to talk about how that happened and how it's also happening in Indiana and a bunch of other states across the country, and what we can do to stop it. And we can do more than we think, but we really need to get the word out about this issue. Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on and for spending so much time messaging me and giving me info about Oregon and your family farm. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on, Sarah. I get onto these groups that are upset, and I will tell you, even people that don't think that they're in the way or this doesn't have anything to do with them, eventually, once they're ingrained into you and they got the hooks, they're going to do other things that you won't like and wish that you would have been involved before it happened, not after it
Yes.
happened. And
Because when
that's
it happened to you, you were powerless. You all could not
yes,
do anything. It was too late for your family farm. It is gone. It is a
yes.
power. It is land for a power line now, right?
Well, and what my biggest issue was, okay, this is going to happen. This is progress, but work with me. And there it cost $41.5 million to build this power line, and I asked for them to work with me to make it not devalue the rest of my property, and they said, nope, that cost too much money. Too bad. We don't care about you. No big deal.
And they
And
were able to use the government at the state
yes,
level
and
to get their way,
yep.
and there was nothing you could do.
Yep, state
So,
and city level. The city's
ooh,
budget when it started was 21 million in 2019, and now it's 90 million dollars 7 years later because of all the tax money that they make from the revenue from the electric company. And
oh,
it's so and that's why they did it, because they could make their budget so much bigger.
yeah, right. Yeah, we're having a lot of issues in Indiana. I will re-put out today or tomorrow when I have time. I will put out again on Facebook the episode with Citizens Action Coalition with Karen Olson so that you can hear exactly what happens in Indiana. But we're also going to have Bryce from Citizens Action Coalition watching, and he's going to be adding facts about Indiana that I'll put on the screen,
Yep.
and I will read aloud because this can also be a podcast. So just know I asked someone from Citizens Action Coalition to be on because I am not an expert on this, but I am concerned about it. When I ran for State House and I'm running again, this is one of the issues I am concerned about. And I just keep finding out how easy it is for these mega companies to come in and kind of manipulate people that are passing the laws at the state, city, local level. And I hear they use non-disclosure agreements too. And
Yes.
so just the way that they do it, how can we stop it? And we can stop it by being informed and helping each other, working together across party lines to protect the people, to protect your land, my land, people's land. So,
Yep.
okay. So what happened? Just give us a summary of what happened with your family's farm. You live in Oregon in Boardman, and is that close to the Columbia River?
Yes, it is, and it's close to the Columbia River because they need the water from the Columbia River to use it to cool their servers. And
Okay.
we used to have cheap power before this came along, which I think you guys are probably experiencing the same scenario. And now they're over capacity on their power, and they're building even more power lines from Idaho and Wyoming to get it over here because they need power. And the hydropower was in abundance when it first came along, but that's changed since the data center usage.
And so Amazon needs extra energy. They need
Yeah.
extra electricity because of AI technology and because of it's because of all this new technology that just recently came out, right? Like
Yes.
it takes a lot of electricity. I'm using like a paid chat GTP. I use
Yeah.
it and get a lot of energy or answers from that. When I'm asking it a question, it's using a lot of energy to get the answer, right?
Yes, and that it needs power, but then it also needs the water to cool it, and that takes power in order to
Mm,
cool it, just like your HVAC, your air conditioning, because they use water powered to cool their server farms.
okay, that makes
And
sense to me.
yes, and
I
so
think
they use billions of gallons, not just a couple hundred gallons. It's 400 gallons per minute per building. That is when they first started here about 10 years ago. Now that's changed as technology changes and gets better, but right now that's one of their biggest issues is it still uses a lot of water.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and I wish, my hope would be is we need a lot more electricity, we'd be going about it in environmentally better ways. But that does not seem to be the case, particularly in Indiana. We're using very bad methods sometimes to get all of this energy, and then we're charging the regular citizens in the homes the extra bill, and these mega companies don't have to pay as much. So you would like to think, oh, if we're using extra electricity, we should be using the methods that we know of. We know of a lot of ways that are environmentally better than others, but here in Indiana, we're not using them. Is that the case in Oregon or?
Ye Well, so we mainly get our power right now from, the dams is where we
Okay.
get it because of the rivers, and Bonneville Power Administration had an abundance of power. Now, I will tell you, they're, really pushing micronuclear energy, and they still need water in order to cool the micronuclear energy.
Is that these tiny little
Yes.
facilities that, yes, they're pushing that in Indiana as well.
Yes, so that is the way of the future, in my opinion, and, they're also, even talking about going closed, um, water facilities, which is basically like putting radiator fluid, but as it gets old, they still need to get rid of their radiator fluid, and where are you gonna put radiator fluid? No one wants radiator fluid. So, they do not think ahead, and they're making so much money, and the future is so dynamic as far as the potentials, as far as everything that we use in our life. These phones that we use is really pushed towards data driven. There's no end in sight, and it's a blank check, and when we as people pay the end user, for it, and we subsidize them at such a level that we don't even realize or aware of, now we're starting to become aware of because it's
It
moment.
has it has impacted us. It's impacted
Yes.
us in Indiana. It's taken your family's farm. Yes, so you're right in that we are becoming more aware of it, but I think the hopelessness that we cannot take on Amazon or Google or Meta, we cannot take on these giant companies. So it's kind of like, what do we do? Well, actually, we can do stuff. That's one of the reasons I ran for state house. If I would have got elected, I would have tried to push legislation that would hold these energy companies, these mega companies accountable for their massive energy use, make sure that our land is protected, our water is protected, our our homes and our bills. But we're electing people that are getting conned. And I kind of want to focus a little bit on what happened in Oregon and then tie it to how it's so similar to what's happened in Indiana. So, when this first happened, like
Yeah.
what year was this when your family farm was made aware that they
2000
wanted your land?
2019 of March
Okay.
is when this happened. Now, keep in mind that there was, 3 elected officials. There was one that was a Morrow County commissioner, okay, and I don't know what it is for you guys' county.
We have commissioners. Yeah.
With you. Then there was 2 people that were sponsors of the bill that were Portomoro commissioners, and they gave them the tax breaks of 85 cents off the dollar. So every dollar that they had to spend in property taxes, they got 85 cents off. So in a sense, it's a bit $5.8 billion dollars is how much was knocked off that just this year alone. So that of that, you can see how much money it's really worth. And so the people that elected, and owned the land, in a sense, gave them the tax break, and they owned a fiber optic company named Windwave. And if you Google Morrow County officials, Amazon windfall, you'll see the corruption that it came in through that aspect of how much money it generated for their fiber optic company. And
Right.
so uh, they it starts with corruption. Oh, I can make you some money, and
So they reached out to the actual commissioners of your county and gave them benefits for giving away the bad things, for
and I
doing
think
something bad. They got incentives.
and I think in Indiana, you guys are given some good tax breaks as well too.
It's weird what's happening in Indiana. It's causing our energy bills to go up. We basically gave energy companies the right to make their own board to set our prices, and we gave up government control. So I have Duke Energy, and our bills keep coming up. And we have solar panels in our house, and we do not get as many benefits from having solar panels as we should because Duke doesn't seem to care about that, and they're not governed.
Yeah.
You would think the government would incentivize good use of energy, but they're not. And there are some good companies like REMC is a local company. My parents thankfully have that, and some of the other people have that. That company has chosen not to raise our rates, but the other companies in the state are, and we are powerless to it now. Bryce just sent us something. He said in Indiana, we're keeping coal plants open and are planning to build out gas plants someday, 10 to 20 years from now. Small module reactors, SMRs, might be commercially available. Currently, the only two operating SMRs are in Russia and China. That's interesting. Thanks, Bryce. I
Yes.
didn't realize this was who I was talking to. I do know Bryce a little bit. Okay, that's awesome. And very sad that that's happening. So let's go back to your farm. So you found out 6 years ago, and did you think at first you would be able to work with them like you were saying at the?
Yes, and they'll tell you, "Don't write anything down, don't videotape, don't get any document, don't worry about anything at all." Okay, well, I'm telling you, video, audio, get it documented, and they said they would never eminent domain our property. And all I asked them is to work with us on how it doesn't snake through our property and how it goes straight through our property, following existing power lines. And they said, no, we don't want to do that. That costs too much. And so, but one of the questions I asked them is every 90-degree angle, okay, 90-degree angle like that, costs them $500,000. I mean, $1 million. But if they went straight through my property, it would have saved them over $500,000, and there was 9 of them. So I said, buy the property that's next door to me, so that way I don't have my property devalued. And then they said, nope, too bad, we don't care. And
So
they
you were
still,
willing to work with them. You were willing to
yes,
work with them. You set certain requirements and they just didn't follow at all. And they didn't have to because the law had already been changed. There wasn't really much protection for you legally.
no, they bent the rules per the city code. They were only supposed to put it underground. And the city just said, "Oh no, sorry," because they saw how much money they were going to make. All right, and all these people were tied back into the kickbacks, like I just told you about, with the wind wave stuff, and tied into how they make money. And they basically said, "No, sorry, we're not going to do that." And they didn't even listen to it. They didn't listen to it when it came to other things as far as developing my property. It was totally thrown to the side, and I've been ostracized. I've been really picked on. It's kind of like Dukes of Hazzard for me, and I'm dealing with Boss Hog and Roscoe Pico Train, and it's probably about 20 of them. And it's really alienated our family because we've lived here since 1978. We didn't buy the property on speculation. We bought it because we really wanted just to grow produce and sell it out of our coffee shop, and that's really been really destroyed some of the
And
relationships.
that's such a beautiful thing that you're wanting to do. You're wanting to sell it's so good for the environment to buy local produce. There's less traveling, less gas, less energy. Um, you're wanting to do this good thing for the community, and you were powerless to stop Amazon, and you tried to just say, just do these few things so we can keep our farm up and running. And because of kickbacks, because of special perks that the
Yes.
government officials are getting, you couldn't do anything about it. And now you're being sort of attacked and bullied by people that have actual power in your area just for shining a light on what they're doing.
Exactly. And one of the things that I wanted to do, so with this easement, okay, they can come on my property, and if, let's say, if I had weeds growing up on the easement area, they can come in and use herbicides and pesticides without even telling me. I can't get certified organic because of their herbicides and pesticides. that they have through the easement. So
Wow.
it's been a detriment, and I have to pay taxes on that easement for the rest of my life. They have to pay a one-time fee, for the property, and then they said it was worth 5,000 an acre was their basically their offer on the property, and I have to live with it for the rest of my life at a devalued rate on the whole property, and it just leaves a real bitter taste in my mouth, and that's the biggest issue that I have because once this is done, once your people, think this doesn't affect them, and there's another site in Georgia where they have to live with a flashlight shining in their house that's 400 yards away for the rest of their life because of the way that data centers have lights on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for for what do you call it? And then they have to deal with the hum of these things as well too. The constant zzz,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and so all these type of things you don't think about until it's finally done. And once they're entrenched, they don't care. They're making money being right next door to you, and they're not leaving. Either you leave at a devalued price, or they just live with it the way it is. And it's sad. They always say, "We'll work with you," but when you put pencil to paper and you document it or show how much it devalues it, they walk away and say, "Well, we don't care." And there's $1 trillion company, Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or all these billionaires. They don't care. They don't see it.
Right. The only way to stop them is by getting people elected that will purposefully change the laws to hold them accountable.
Yes.
And I know that it looks like we can't do it, especially the way they're treating you, especially what's happening in Indiana and other states and Oregon. It looks like we can't do much, but we can. We need good people to run for local office, get elected, and then not work with the lobbyists that are promoting the billionaires and the billionaire companies. We need to work with people that care about people in their area and in their state. That's what I want the country to know. I want the
Yes.
country to realize we can take back our communities. That's why you wanted to be on this show. You're like, this isn't over. We can fight. We have to get work together, and
Well, one thing that really meant a lot. There's a place you can Google this, Peculiar, Missouri. They
Peculiar, Missouri.
Yes,
Okay.
and the data centers, and it was Diode LLC. The citizens of the town saw my video, and one of the guys called me and said, "What happened?" It's a Washington Post, and there's a New York Times article, and how they were able to show the non-disclosure agreements. They were able to show the kickbacks and how who's getting paid and how the mayor was tied. He just got fired last week. Uh,
Wow.
yes, I know it's really exciting, and because of that, and they were able to show it. There's also another guy in Virginia, Bob Weir, I think is his name, and he says you will be lied by the lobbyists, you'll be lied by the lawyers, you'll be lied by politicians, you'll be lied by all through the whole thing. And the only way is to document video, and it becomes very confrontational. You become very confrontational because I've had cops that showed up to my property saying they want to inspect my property, wanting to search it, and I said no, go get a warrant. And I wasn't very nice telling them to get off my property.
That's stressful.
Yeah, oh, it's very stressful. And so those and one thing, there's a place in Indiana that had orange shirts kind of like this, and you guys had over 1,000 people. You guys had to have people be pushed away because the fire codes were met, and they stopped that center from being done. But
I
that's the
thought you were,
only,
I think you might have been saying Valparaiso.
yeah,
Bryce, can you look into this and tell us what Jonathan's talking about? So orange shirts,
yes,
something in Indiana, they fought something and they were able to get it across
yes.
and stop it.
Yep, and
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what county, I don't this cause is my cause, okay? And I don't want people to deal with, I mean, there's one lady in Georgia that called me and she goes, "Well, it's going across this big 230 kilovolt power line is going across my property. What do I do?" And I told her, "Well, do you have $1 million to fight it?" And she goes, "Well, no." I said, "Well, that's what it's gonna take. And even then, what will you get out of it? You'll still get the power line." You
Hmm.
know, and it she started crying. She really started crying, and I said, "And I'm on your side." And the only reason why she believed me because she watched my video. She knows. She
Yeah,
knows.
we have had Amazon like warehouses and Amazon things pop up all around our communities. We have one in Lanesville in Harrison County, which is close to where I live in Harrison
Yep.
County. And they promised, a few hundred local jobs.
Yep.
They promised things and then they did not deliver. We
Yeah.
did not get jobs. It was jobs brought in from other Amazon workers that worked in other areas. They came to this one. And the things that they said they would do for the community, they did not. They told the government. The government said, look, what a great thing this is for our community. It's going to give jobs. And then it didn't. And then there's no repercussions. There's no, hey, you said you were going to do this for us. There's no going back. It's done.
So one of the things that they do is, like in Peculiar, Missouri, is they had a Diode LLC. So they promised everything. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. Tell us what problems you have, and then they put you at ease and get you to put your guard down. And then they turn around and sell it to a Meta or a Google or a QTS and so then when it isn't the way that they said it was, you can who are you going to blame? They got everything they wanted and they just changed the rules of the game. So let's say you and I sit down and play poker, and then all of a sudden you said, okay, well, now only these are wild cards, and it's ones that I have in my pocket work. And it's like it's a stacked deck with $1 trillion company, and they don't care because you can't fight it and you can't argue with it. And it's really so sad, and we haven't even touched the aquifers where they're getting their water from the wells, and
Right.
how that's going to change. And here in Oregon, we actually have the river, so you can see the water going down it every day. Well, in an aquifer, you can't look down the aquifer and see how much water has or has not been taken. And so, if you Google Meta data centers in Georgia, Diana Dietz and this other gal are on there, and they're sucking like a straw from that water for their data center, and then they don't have anything for their horses. And so now, after 7 years, in this video written by a More Perfect Union, which was very well done, they're saying, okay, we'll talk to you. I don't trust them anymore. If it's taken 7 years for you to sit down and talk to me, and then you still don't want to do anything about it after 7 years, I, if you built up a case, they'll build up a case against you and use whatever it is against you. And I'm going to throw out in the movie Aaron Brockovich, they use something that's made it sound like all these chemicals were good for you, when it wasn't the right chemical that was good for you. Is actually the exact opposite. It was chromium or something like that. That's the type of thing that they do, is they use these things, these little manipulative words, to make it look like it's something that it isn't, and then you don't know until you're left holding the bag. And it's so sad. It's so sad. And I just don't want people to have their communities destroyed. I really
Yeah.
don't.
And I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But, this organizing, you finding me and you finding all these other people, Citizens Action Coalition in Indiana, working with so many people and doing a great job. It's working. But yeah, this need for energy to power this AI race that we're in
Yep.
is going to hurt a lot of people. And we're going to need a ton of us around the country to fight back, which we are, but the more that can know about it. Now, I've got to say one side thing. If
Yeah.
you are listening to this as a podcast, you are missing the adorable kitten that has been in the video the entire time. It is really hard for me to not fly to Oregon right now so I can pet the black fluffy kitten that's in the video. So everybody, what's your cat's name?
You know what? Someone dropped it off at our farm, and
Aw.
it's very needy right now because it's a
Yes.
kitten.
I mean, you're like getting
So,
attacked when you move your arm. So
yes,
this is good entertainment while we're talking about extremely depressing stuff. So thank you.
yes. Well,
Love
she's
the kitten.
purring, and I'm sorry if it's a distraction, but
It's not a distraction.
2
I'm loving
days,
it.
and I've taken her in, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but
Oh, well,
when they're
thanks for
getting
doing
out,
that. That's so sweet. And you reached out to me and you just kept saying, I want to try to help you in Indiana so
yes,
that all of this doesn't, I want to help because what happened to us was extremely painful and we learned a lot about it. And I just found that really admirable. And I'm just so thankful you're here doing this.
yep,
Bryce did look up what we were talking about. Thank you, Bryce. He
yep.
said that was Wheeler, the place where people are fighting back.
Yep.
just west of Valparaiso in Porter County. There are two proposed data centers developed by QTS. They
Yep.
haven't been stopped yet, but the community is still fighting to make that happen. Okay. I would love to follow that story. So if anybody's involved with what's going on and would like to come on the show and talk about it so we can build more people in Porter County to stop these data centers from until we make better laws to hold these companies accountable, we need to like halt this stuff because our government has allowed way too much power on the companies and no power on the everyday hardworking people that live in Indiana. And then Bryce says there's a video too. So there's a video on YouTube of this meeting for anybody that's interested. And he's on the Facebook,
Thousands.
Project Mix Facebook, if you want to copy and paste that.
Thousands of people showed up to it. They were turning them away at the door, and it honestly, it really got to me because I've talked to some of those people, and they've sent me emails saying thank you because you the video, the Farmers Cup coffee that we've shown people about our story, we were able to unite. And please, before it's too late, you don't think it affects you. They wanted to build. If I remember right. They wanted to build near a school, and they said they won't put a school near a data center. Well, why would you put a data center near a school? And it just logical stuff like this that just makes people mad and uncomfortable. And the lobbyists and people, they're there to close the deal. They're there to say whatever they can to make you happy.
We need to elect people in Oregon, in Indiana, in states all across the country, in all the states that this is happening to. We need to elect people that are aware this is going on. And so they are aware of the manipulation before it happens. What seems to happen in Indiana, let's take the person I ran against, Karen Engelman. She's our State House District 70 representative. She's a Republican, and I ran as a Democrat in a very rural, heavily gerrymandered district. I didn't really have much chance to win. And she's voting yes on passing all of these, giving up government control over our energy bills, giving more control to energy companies and to mega corporations. And it seems like there's lobbyists that are paid quite a bit of money to meet each of the state house and state senate people and to just say how great this bill is going to be for Hoosiers. And they also wine and dine them. They can like take them out to steak dinners. They can give them tickets to our Pacers games, which I think that should be made illegal, by the way. I don't think they should be able to do that. My husband's company, they're not able to do that in my husband's company. Why can we do that in the government and buy people's votes? But it seems to be working. Also, the energy companies can they can donate money to candidates. So there is a buying off and a persuasion and a manipulation happening with these people. And I think a lot of them that vote yes for these bills that end up hurting us are very unaware of how hurtful they are. Do you see that happening in Oregon?
All the time. In fact, there's one, and he's a Republican, or that's what they call him, that he has all these businesses, and he makes over $1 million from his businesses, and they're tied to the electric co-op. The electric co-op, when in 2019 had 3 million in the bank. In 2024, they have 165 million dollars in the bank in cash investments because of Amazon giving their money for all the infrastructure costs, which are generally paid. And they were bragging at the last meeting that their rates are only going to go up 11%. Well, it shouldn't go up any. Amazon should be paying for the full freight of every little cost there because they're driving the demand, not us residential consumers of it. And so he makes $30,000 as a state rep, but because of all these backdoor deals, okay, he gave $5 million in 2023 to Umatilla Electric, the co-op that eminent domain, and he got $5 million for them, and then he got a $500,000 business, a contract from that electric co-op. So I mean, and you can Google it, and I've actually turned him in for some ethics violations, and that is why I've gotten the heat for the RVs and my chickens. And I mean, and everybody says, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, it's not. Trust me, I'm not doing anything wrong, and I'm no different than anybody else. I'm just not well connected like anybody else. But
Yeah.
that's why I'm telling you this is going to happen. And I will state This area is actually the perfect area for data centers because we're out in the middle of nowhere. It's not going against residential areas, generally speaking, okay, except for one. But all the rest of them, okay, are out in different areas. And because we have the water, this makes it the best area for us to have this. As long as you have the water, if we can get the power, from the because we do need data centers. I'm not. I wish I could get into the
We
military.
need data centers is fine. We
Yeah,
can use AI. We're not against AI, but we need government regulation to
guardrails.
protect our environment, to protect our land, to protect people's homes so that things don't happen without their consent and they don't have $1 million to fight it, so they're powerless to fight it. We need the government, the local government to be our protection. That's the whole point. That's
Yes,
supposed to be one of the whole points of having a government, to have our backs. We elect people that are supposed to be watching out for us, but they have so much money and so much power and so many lawyers and so many lobbyists. They know how to get in there and manipulate these local lawmakers. And if we don't inform everybody and come together and say, I know you're telling me it's good, but I need to research the other side. And if we do not say no to it, we're just going to keep letting this happen.
yes. And so one of the things that they do that they need is they need generators. They need
Okay.
diesel generators for backup power supplies. And what you're seeing in Memphis with Elon Musk and that AI data center is they say, "Oh, we don't need any permits." And then they showed pictures of how they had 34 diesel generators there, and come to find out, they said they only used 14. So then they went back and did a temperature gauge to see what it was, and they were using all 36 of the power generators. And I'm not trying to be. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's funny.
It's so wild. You can't help
Yes,
but laugh or cry. Better
yes.
laugh.
And
Yeah.
and so these diesel generators are like jet engines, and they test them every 2 weeks. So even if they don't use them 24 hours a day, they still have to be ready and on call. If the power grid ever goes down, and they say it's getting worse as far as brownouts. And so, do you want a jet engine near your residential area? Do you want
No.
do you want 36 jet engines near your residential area? I mean, it's scary how once you start looking at it. And I tried to not get into arguments. It's so tough over social media, but and I don't want to argue with you, but I want to say, just think of this. And I've had people come back and say, "Oh, that's what you mean. Oh, that's what
Right.
you're saying." And it's so tough because I don't want to call people an idiot. I just, hey, just watch this video. And I've had people just say, "Oh, well, you just want money from." I want the message to get out. And I know I have it structured. I just want the message so that you can see it, and how it's going to affect you. And there's 100 different ways that it's affecting you. But once it's done and you're not involved, or it's already done, you can't put the genie back in the bottle anymore. It's done.
Yeah.
It's destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't have to be perfect. This is the way these bullies take you on. They go after any time you say something wrong or anything, and they go after you, and you're a regular human being who is doing your best to stop something huge and powerful and terrible. And that's a tool they use, and you just kind of have to recognize, oh, they're going to go after me not being perfect. Well, none of us are perfect. And it's gaslighting, and they're very good at it.
And
I've
they got the
had
money
it
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had in my local town, the town of Palmyra, I've called out a town council member not being appropriate and bullying the other town workers, and having them leave and stuff. And so I've called out what she's done, and she's tried to hurt me with water bills and pools, and so she tries to change the law to hurt me, and so I just shine a light on it when I have time, but it's exhausting. And this is just a Palmyra Town Council member, and the amount that she tries to hurt me just for calling out her bullying. So these people, they're sort of relentless, and it's exhausting. And so I hate it that you're dealing with that. And I'm thankful that you're putting up with it and that you haven't stopped. You reached out to me and you just kept giving me info and info and info. And I'm just really thankful that you're trying. And the more people that stand up with you gives you protection in your town. And so I encourage people that they probably are scared of the bullying, so they don't want to, so they keep quiet, but there's safety in numbers. So,
Well,
when you
there's
work together,
jobs.
they can't go after everybody.
Yeah, well, their jobs are tied to it, and then the non-disclosures of their jobs, they could
Can
get
you go
fired
into that?
from
Because
it.
I did not know much about the non-disclosure agreements. Can you explain what's going on there?
So what they do, and to me this is wrong, and this should be a nationwide law in my opinion. But if you're a public official, you should not be able to sign a non-disclosure, or you should show what your non-disclosure is, okay, of who you are tied to, because then you are not allowed to disparage or say anything bad about that non-disclosure of that entity. And so, like, even the city manager, I've told him, I said, hey, so you signed a non-disclosure with Amazon. And he goes, well, yeah. I said, well, even if you could tell me the truth, you can't tell me the truth. So I can't believe you on anything that you say about Amazon, because you can't tell me any of the bad side of it. So you don't represent me anymore as a citizen. You represent Amazon and their interest because you've signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, I agree with you. That should not be allowed. I didn't know it was allowed. I didn't know non-disclosure agreements in government's allowed. And Bryce, could you tell us anything about non-disclosure agreements in Indiana? Because I didn't think we had them. We didn't talk about it with Curran on the last show. Um, yeah, they should not be allowed. Are you guys listening kind of alarmed that this is happening? Because I was unaware. Bryce put us another comment here. Here's the CAC's webpage about Indiana General Assembly's voting records and their campaign contributions from the utility and natural resources industry. I also use opensecrets.org a lot to look up how people are getting their money. It's very upsetting. What upset me the most was these people are being bought for very little. It's like $1,000 here, 600 here, and then they're voting that way and destroying people's lives and making people's lives harder for just so little money. So I was thinking it was like big bucks when I was doing the opensecrets.org tracking. But thank you, Bryce. So yeah, these people are being bought, and then they're also signing non-disclosure agreements, so they can't even talk about how they were bought. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and well, so let me use an example. The politician I was referring to with Greg Smith, who I've turned into through many ethics violations. So he only makes $2,000 or $3,000, but has a advisory business where he goes in and tries to solicit funds from governments, kind of like the NGO stuff that we're seeing, all right? And as it goes to the NGOs or the Umatilla Electric Co-op, for infrastructure needs for electrical companies, and then that electric company then pays him through his business. So it's not just the lobbyists, it's through a business. And I'm not sure if I send it to you, but I can just show you how it looks on all the money that he's done. And I'll have to send it to you, Sarah. But he's got a little map of all the money, and he makes $31,000 from the Oregon legislature. But then he turns around and makes millions of dollars
Whoa.
from his business that does dealings with all these like NGO type things around it. So that's where he's able to hide it. But like what you said, those solicitations of lobbyists, those are a telltale sign of just the tip of the iceberg of what's behind what's really being spent.
It sounds like this is a problem in Oregon. It is a huge problem in Indiana where there's no transparency or accountability of public officials. So I've tracked myself. I track the park superintendent of Harrison County, Larry Schickles. He is doing shady things, or I'm accusing him of doing shady things, some of which have been proven on state audit reports with our money, and money laundering, kickbacks. They're just so easy to do in Indiana. And what I realized as I was calling out the park superintendent that is affecting our lives negatively in the county is that this is done everywhere in the state. And we don't have a great state, what are they called? The I can't think of the party's names, but our top people in the Republican Party that own Indiana that have won office, those people are not doing the Secretary of State.
Yep.
Diego Morales. He's being like looked at by, I believe, the FBI. There's just multiple allegations. There's lack of transparency and accountability with state government elected officials. And so when they're being accused of doing shady things, I don't have high hopes that they're going to look into other Republican officials that are doing shady things. And I'm
Yeah.
sure this happens with Democrats too. I'm sure there are shady Democrats making profit off of these institutions and the way things are done. We have to get people elected, and then we have to change these laws so that we hold them accountable, so that there's transparency. Let's get rid of non-disclosure agreements. And that's going to be hard because we've got to elect better, braver, moral people that aren't in it for the behind the scenes money.
Well, tough because you do need money to get your message out there as well too, and it's so tough because you've seen, and I don't know where people. I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, but you've got to be a billionaire in order to run for office, and these insider trading things is really what it is, that makes people mad, and just follow the money, okay, and integrity is very important to me, and that there'll be even me. I've been criticized, for my RVs, chickens, police reports on stuff because it all ties back to our chief of police on things, and it's just sad because there's trillions of dollars at stake, billions of dollars. You got the $1 trillion data centers, then you got the $1 billion electric companies, and then you got the politicians that are right there underneath that are getting all these kickback, and it's just a web. And I don't mind a little bit of controversy. I don't mind people being upset, but you really got to listen to it. And then there's no press anymore. There's no money to be made in press anymore.
Our local paper just announced that their big company that bought them a couple years ago is closing them down.
Yes.
This is why Tim Peck and I started Project Next. We would try to get on the news. We would go up to reporters at live events and we would say what we wanted to say. And then their editors or whoever is getting to decide whether we go on would not put us on. And we couldn't get our message out. And we're not millionaires.
Yeah.
I'm making no money. I'm a former teacher. I don't have an income. I'm just doing this to try to save my state and my community. And so Tim and I are like, well, let's start our own media company and let's put legit good people on and let's be the news that we're missing. And it's hard when we don't have millions of dollars to get us started, but we're going to keep going and we're going to keep fighting and try to get the word out and try to help everybody. It's also overwhelming. There's so many problems. I would say this is a top problem. I'm very concerned about saving public education. I don't know how much you know about Indiana, but we've really attacked public education a lot. So that's an issue. And then this is an issue. This is one of my main issues because it's going to keep getting worse until we change the laws and help regular people because we're just constantly hurting middle class, lower middle class people. And how much more can we hurt?
So one of the things that is happening here in Boardman, and I've heard that they're going to do 300 data centers, and they only have 40 right now.
You're
And
300 in Oregon?
no, no, just in my area, just in
What?
yeah, oh
300 data centers
yeah.
in
So
your
yes,
area?
buildings, yes, 300. They've only done
Wow.
about 42, and it's kind of funny. I'll tell you something. I joke about this. Is they're one of them's a Jedi contract. If you Google Jedi Amazon, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a CIA contract, and I know it's a CIA contract because they have state police that they've hired for security. Okay, and they pay them $50 to $80 an hour. Well, the only reason why you would pay people $50 to $80 if you're really trying to hire someone for information, but all the other data centers are no big deal. And it's
Wow.
funny, just by who you have working for you, I can tell you how big of deal that data is at that site, and that's just common knowledge. And I say that to people, and it's funny because the people, when they're paid that much, they just don't say anything because they don't want to lose their job. But they know that I'm right. They know that I'm right about. Oh wow, that's a CIA contract, and they call it a Jedi contract that they won.
Hmm.
Jeff,
Never heard of that.
yeah, and then so with the data that they have, and all the information that they're going to put here, they're I lost my train of thought, but there you can tell how much of growth that they're going to have. And so what it's going to do in this area is these electricians that build out these sites, for all these datas, they pay $200 a day per diem. So by paying $200 a day per diem, that's $1,500 a month. Well, most of those people are transient people, RV, stay in an RV and go on to the next site as far as data centers. Well, what that does is it jacks up the prices of rent because then
Oh,
they
wow.
compete with those type of people. So you're going to see a temporary influx of money for supply and demand as far as like oxygen, as far as rental space, and then it's gone. And so you're going to see an influx of rent prices. Well, here there's going to be growth between the next 10 to 15 years. And the main reason is we have the water and we're going to get the electrical needs through the SMRs that of the nuclear energy that we talked about there. And it's going to happen because Trump has said, I'm just going to red pin it and I'm going to make it. Now, he has said he is going to put guardrails, but I want to see those guardrails. I want to
Yeah,
see
he says a lot
that.
of things. He says good things and he says bad things,
I
but does he
know,
do them?
and I
Yeah.
agree. The devil is in the details. And you know what? Please, I always say, let me have a seat at the table because
And
I'll go over.
if he does sign guardrails, I'll be happy to thank him and make knowledge, and say thanks for doing
Yes,
this good thing.
yes,
I get really tired of we make everything so partisan. This isn't right
it
versus
isn't.
left. This is rich people versus regular people, mega companies versus the rest of us. And they're a tiny amount of population and we're huge. So if we work together, we can stop them. But it's so scary because look at how they're intimidating you at the local level. It is scary. I mean,
So there's a guy in Virginia named Bob Weir who talked about. I mentioned him earlier. He
uh-huh.
said I was at a meeting where a Black Lives Matter hat guy and a MAGA hat guy were right next to each other. I couldn't have been so more prouder. I said,
Me too. I would have
I,
loved that so
I
much.
called them and I said, thank you for getting on that video and saying what you said. But I said I do want a picture of that MAGA guy and that Black Lives Matter because you can't get any too
And
many.
they want us fighting.
Yes,
These
yes.
big billionaires, these big companies, they profit off of our division and they want us fighting with our neighbors so that we don't say, look at what they're doing to our utility bills. Look at what they're doing to our land and our water. Our children, it's not going to be safe for them to live here and drink the water. Look at what they don't want them to work together because there's power in that. We can vote for better people. So I'm really disgusted by the division that's been happening since for a while, at least
Yes,
2016, and I'd say earlier. That's a calculated effort on their part to keep regular people divided.
yes,
And what you're saying, Black Lives Matter, MAGA hat, we actually have more in common than we realize, but we have to put that aside. We have to
yes.
put how we vote aside, and we have to focus on what's best for us and our children. And
And
when we put
communities. Yes, yes.
communities, yeah, when we put that first. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about how we fight this because we can. This
Yep,
has been depressing. I've learned some things I didn't realize, like non-disclosure agreements, like the scary number you said of data centers going to pop up in your beautiful state of Oregon, which I visited once, 2010, 2009. It was the most beautiful state I've ever seen in my life. I drove the Oregon coast. It
yep.
was, oh my gosh. So your state is just beyond beautiful. I drove across the Columbia River, couldn't believe how beautiful it was. Um, so what do we do to fight this? Here's what I think, and then I want to know what you can add to it because this is the same problem we're coming up with on the Get the Word Out show. It's the same thing we do every time. But let's say you're listening and you want to get more involved locally. Well, do you have a town council meeting? Do you have a county commissioners meeting? Do you have a county council meeting, city council? What meetings do you have close to you? Find when they are. Call your town hall, call your government building and get the information about the meetings. And if you or someone else, maybe get a team of you, go to the meetings, it takes a couple meetings to figure out what in the world's going on. And I just asked a lot of questions. And sometimes I would ask questions before the meetings or after the meetings, or I'd be friends with one of the people and then ask them, or you can just call and get information. You can email, but find out what's going on in your town and then like go to Democrat meetings or go to Republican meetings. It doesn't matter which one, whichever one you feel closest to, go to those meetings, find out what's going on, voice your concerns, say at those meetings, I think this should be an issue. What are we doing with data centers? What's our issue on that? I looked up how the people are voting, and they're voting in support of these billionaire companies and not in support of regular people. What do we do to change that and get involved? If we don't take back our democracy, this is going to continue to happen, and it's eventually going to harm you or your family or your friends. What else do you think we should do?
So one of the things that they do now is on YouTube, they put their videos online.
So
And
oh, you mean the government, like
yes,
government places?
yeah, city and county government here. And the reason why I like that is I can go back and see what they really said, because you can't really interact like what you and I have right here.
Yeah, they don't let you talk. You just sit there and listen.
Yes, and just shut up and take it. And then if you talk to them after the meeting, they basically lie to you, as far as I'm concerned, or subvert it. But you have to then follow it up with an email and document it.
Oh,
So, and you'll probably have 4 or 5, but you can only get 1 or 2 of the questions. And right now, my property, they want to put a RV park on the site, and they are, redlining me and not doing my property, because I won't play ball with them. I want to play ball with them, but they're like, well, no, you've screwed us over, and you are vocal, so they're redlining.
so they're harming you because
Yeah.
you're shining a light on what's being
Yes.
done, and
And
yeah,
and I
yeah,
can
that
show
makes
you
sense.
documents of the
It's
city where I've shown them, said, because I called the city manager and I said, "Hey, you guys said you were gonna do this, and develop." I said, "When is that gonna get done?" And he said, "No, I never we never said that." And I said, "Well, here's the timestamp on the video that says you were going to, and now you're telling me that I wasn't." And I said, "Now I want a public records request of everything that you talked at that meeting." And it's been a month later, and I still haven't got any of the things that I've asked. And that's very confrontational, because I've just said, you're gaslighting me again for the 100th time, and I'm being confrontational just by asking questions. And so we'll see. I mean, they say that they're going to work with me, and we'll see what happens. I just, the safety in numbers, that Valparaiso one at that Wheeler County, you guys need to be so proud of yourself. I don't know who it was or who organized it.
I
I
know.
was so proud of it. And watch the video of it. Yeah, they had the video online. Me and my mom watched it, because that lady sent me an email. Wendy Ragel, I think is her name, and she thanked us for our video. And I said that video, it helped get that message out as far as what it's going to do. Because what I really think is, people don't think it's going to affect them. It's going to affect them, but it's going to be too late by the time it does affect them.
Right, right. Yeah, I hope to have one of those people on. Contact me, Project
I will
Next
talk to. I'll reach
messaging.
out to Wendy.
Yeah, because I would like to have somebody on the show to explain how they did that, because we do need hope in these situations that seem so hopeless. Bryce, you're amazing. I'm just like asking you to do things and you do them. So wait, why won't it let me get on? There we go. So Bryce said about NDAs. Unfortunately, NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, are legal in Indiana. They've been used in every data center development 10 years plus that I've seen over the last couple of years. 10 plus, I don't know what 10 plus is. Between NDAs and companies hiding behind LLCs, the lack of transparency is extremely troubling for the vast majority of Hoosiers. So if we could get better people at the state house and the state senate to pass some laws to hold these people accountable, stop NDAs, make things more transparent, that would be a way to stop this. Now
Yeah.
there would be it will be hard. You will have to elect brave, good, moral people that are not trying to make a buck off the government. Yeah, but we can do it. It's possible. We do see these politicians on both sides, Democrat and Republican, pop up that are brave and moral and will stand up against. I would like to think if I were ever elected, I would be that way, because I don't have a financial, I don't really care about money. I care about my children and the state and in my area. So, I would try to pass laws that would help the majority of Hoosiers, but we don't have that right now in Indiana.
And Sarah, I will point out, it was Minnesota government, local government, that got killed by her vote on that Medicare, uh, um, it was a Democrat that voted, for common sense is the way that
Ugh.
I thought, and I was so proud, and it makes me, and she was scared after she voted that way. She was scared, and even if you disagree with someone, and I've disagreed, I've really disagreed, you, you still got to let it go, and it's so hard because they don't think this affects them. They don't think this affects them. And we just had a bond that passed, and my taxes are going to go up about altogether on all my properties about $500 a month
Wow, that's a
because,
lot.
yeah, for the school bond, okay, that they weren't transparent on, that Amazon doesn't pay $5.8 billion this year, okay, and they only passed it out of 10,000 registered voters. They only passed it by 6 votes.
So you're saying we just need a few more good people elected so that we can stop some of this stuff. We
Yes.
have a super majority in Indiana. I think if we've had 4 or 5 flips to Democrat, we can stop the super majority, and that would help some. That would be a good start.
Yeah.
But more people being involved in our local governments, because most people just know about national politics. They don't really know
Yep.
about state, but state's the one that impacts your life more. So
Yep.
it's more important. What they do in Indiana is they keep it very hush hush. They don't
Oh,
want Hoosiers knowing what's going on at the state level. Do you have that problem too? It's
oh,
very
well, it's there's too much to know. It's too
it's overwhelming.
yes, and you
People are
know what?
busy.
I don't care. I've got my own life. I got to take my kids to school. I've got to go take them to soccer practice, and yeah, no, I get it. I really do, and I just, for me, even if we disagree, can we still have a conversation? I've even pride myself on saying, even though we disagree, can we still wave to each other when we
Could
are?
we agree on, yeah, can we talk and agree on this thing? Because
Yes.
we don't have to agree on everything. Yeah. Yeah. We need to get over that. The division. I feel like a lot of people don't know about political issues that affect their own lives because they're so tired of the hate and the division. And so they choose to turn it all off. They don't want to hear the right side. They don't want to hear the left side, and they don't want to hear the bullying that takes place. So they turn it off. And that is another tactic that is letting the secret bad stuff hurt everybody. It doesn't matter whether you follow politics or not, it's hurting you. There's only so long you can put blinders on to this situation. So, yeah, I think it's going to keep getting worse, and I think we're going to keep getting better at learning how to fight it. You know, and you reaching out to me and us doing this show and Bryce being on here, and you're going to help find other people that I can talk to. We're not stopping. We're going to keep going. So have hope in that. But really just let people know what's going on. So we have non-disclosure agreements. Oh, Bryce is amazing. And he told me what I didn't know. So 10 plus communities the data center developers have come to. Okay, so it's affecting Indiana a lot. Thank you for clarifying. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about, Bryce. So we can do this. We are learning, and we can use social media for good. Social media is
Yes.
used for a lot of bad, but this
Yes.
right here, this is programmed out to a lot of places. It's all free, and so we can use it for good. But we have to stop bullying people. I just want to tell you, you've been bullied by your government people that you're calling out. I am constantly bullied online when I make a social media clip and I say things like, not all Republicans are bad. Most Republicans are amazing people. And then when I say that, Democrats bully me. And I get bullied more now by Democrats than any other group of people. And I am a Democrat. And I just want to point that out. We're hurt. We're hurt by what's going on in our government at the national level, at the state level, at the local level. And we have to take that hurt out on the people actually passing the stuff and hurting us. The big companies, the mega companies that are paying for these officials to make these laws, not the neighbors that voted that way that have no idea how their voting is hurting us. And I don't know how many times I have to say that, but I don't know whether it's getting through because again, I'll post a little clip about we should work together and I get trolled by both sides.
Well, I don't mind controversy, and I do like it when I get feedback as a small business owner of a coffee shop. When a customer mentions to me, after 7 times of hearing it, that's when I try to implement it if I can. as far as what
Oh,
cost.
that's a good tip. So if it's multiple things, so you're getting bad comments. If it's multiple the same comment, you're gonna go fix it.
Yeah, I try. I
You
try,
try to fix it.
and nothing's
Yeah,
perfect.
that's a good tip.
Or I try to like, oh, you ought to do this with their syrups. Well, okay, I can't usually because of the cost behind it. Or we want a special syrup, or we want coconut milk. Well, if I only get that once a month, it doesn't do any good. But if I get it,
If enough people want it that you
yeah,
can afford the change, you will do the
yes,
change. Yeah,
yeah,
that's interesting to know. I really like it that your family has this coffee shop. What is it called?
yeah, Farmer's Cup Coffee Shop.
Farmers
It's
Cup Coffee Shop. Are you on social media?
Well, I am. We have the Farmer's Cup Coffee Shop, and the farmerscupcoffee.com is our website. And we're just we wanted to sell our produce. That's really what it came down to. And we wanted
Are you
to,
able to sell your
yeah,
produce?
yeah, we are. We have cucumbers and watermelons that are on, and cantaloupe that are just coming on.
Oh,
And
wow.
we go out and pick it every other night, and we sell them in cups, and it's good. If you are ever in Boardman, and we are in the burnt part of Oregon, not the green part of Oregon, and so we are right off the Columbia River, and I mean that's why we wanted to do it because we were right off the freeway, and easy access, and on off on our on off ramp right there, and we wanted to sell our produce. And when I was a kid, I went door to door selling produce, and now because people Google coffee, we are able to get that offsite traffic from the freeways because it's
Oh,
better than
nice.
a billboard. It's better than a billboard. And again, data centers with looking at your phone are we're it's better than a billboard cost as far as getting things for people to come to your coffee shop.
Oh,
So
nice.
we sell it and we give you a sample. The first one's free, and I'll tell you what. Once they taste it, they're like, "Wow, I can't believe this melon is so ripe." And when you can sell them within that first week as a ripe melon, it's not shipped 2 to 3 weeks, and it's not
Oh,
green.
yeah. Oh, yeah, we have a small garden. Our food is so much better when you pick it right when it's ready and you eat it that day or the next day. It's amazing. I
Yep.
love that you give them a sample. I wish that I lived close. If I'm ever in the area, I will be messaging you to stop by and definitely want to try out your place. Bryce left one more comment. We're about ready to finish up here. Bryce said folks can check out our data center website. We have an interactive map showing where these product projects are across the state. This is the state of Indiana, and a ton of info about this issue at citact.org/data centers. So this is Citizen Action Coalition. I follow them on Facebook. That's where I get most of my info, but I also get emails too. So you can go to their website and you can see where data centers are going to pop up in Indiana. I really want to give a shout out to Citizens Action Coalition for doing this good work. I'm so thankful for people like you, Bryce, and for Kerwin, for working for us. You're working for the people, for our communities. I'm really, really thankful to you, Jonathan, for reaching out. It's nice to get to talk to you in person after tons of texting. Uh,
I swamped you, and I still got tons more. I feel like I
And
lose
feel
friends
free
over
to
it.
put it on the comments of this
Okay.
episode. Most people see it on Facebook, but we also have on YouTube, and then it can also be you can get us on our Substack. If you go to Project Next Indiana, you can type in your
Oh,
email and
cool.
address, and we'll send you emails of this, and you can watch it or listen to it.
Yep.
But yes, feel free to put any info you want on those places. I will pump it out to as many places as I can. We need to get the word out about these data centers, and it's happening at the state level, the
Yes.
local level, and we've got to get better people elected. And I am just a former teacher, and I'm running for state house, and if I'm ever elected, I will work super hard to stop this. Find your people, find people that can run for these local offices. It's not near as hard as you think it is, and then we can fight back no matter where you are. And yeah, I want to find out what happened at, is it Valparaiso? I want to find out what happened there. That sounds
It's
amazing.
so exciting. It gives you hope, and I appreciate your message that you wanna get out. And, I mean, even if there's a little bit of conflict, always remember that is a good thing.
I
That
think
is
you're
a good
right. I
thing.
agree with you. That's good advice. Conflict is good, but it's when you refuse to listen to the other side that I get frustrated. I'm
And
okay
that
with
is
conflict. I'm okay with, like, what did you say? Now I thought this and you think this, and what's the truth? And can we compromise? And it's that dialogue that we're stopping because of political parties, and I want to start the dialogue. So I
yeah,
like what you're saying. I agree with you.
and that's so tough even for me because 'cause I'm so passionate And I plead with people, please don't be upset with me. Please, understand that my passion isn't to make you mad. It's the passion because of everything that I've been through and the bitterness that I've had to fight this fight. And I want what you want. I promise you, I want our nation to live on. It is our civic duty to stand up and to be as civil as possible. But it is so tough. I will tell you, when I had the cops come and want to inspect my property without a search warrant, I
Oh,
was not very nice. I
that
was not
sounds so
very
stressful.
and I had to go next day because, in fact, the cop was my next door neighbor. Okay, because we're that small of a town, and I apologized to him, but he understood what was really going on, and I that's why I don't go to the meetings, because when I do ask questions, they do call the cops, and
Oh,
yeah, no, and so I just watch it on video and document and
my
timestamp those times.
My personal hope is that people in your community will join you and support you and stand up with you, because there is safety in numbers, and you could use a little of that right now. You have this beautiful coffee shop, you're selling produce from your family farm. It's such a beautiful community building thing. Strength in numbers. You don't have to be as vocal as Jonathan is. Just show your support and shine a light on it. When somebody's doing something inappropriate, you can get that phone out and you can live stream it on whatever social media platform you want. There is strength in that, and shining a light on these people's behaviors. They stop quickly. I don't get bullied as much anymore by the people in my community, because I shine a light on what they do and I shine a light on the bullying. So, if they want to call me the village idiot, like I got called a couple weeks ago, I will post it on my Facebook. Well, this prominent person in Harrison County just called me, Sarah Blessing, citizen of Harrison County, this thing. And that does protect me, because you just got to call it out. And it's okay. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I'm not doing illegal, shady stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Bryce. Thank you, Citizens Action Coalition. Keep me updated anytime you want to come back on and talk about more things. And yeah, your connections, that people, because this is a national issue
Yeah.
and it's hitting lots of places. So
And
thank you.
well, thank you, and thank you, Bryce. And I just reiterate, you can make a difference. You don't think that you can make a difference? I'm telling you, that that person right now that thinks, "Oh, this doesn't affect," yes, it will. I promise you, it will. And please do it before it's too late.
You can
Because
only put blinders on for so long before it
yeah,
hits you. You might as well take them off, meet people, work together. Don't put it all on you. Work with a group of people. And yeah, I did an episode, Jonathan, on Project Next a couple weeks ago about a property tax in a tiny little township in Indiana. And government officials were tricked by a company that took advantage of their volunteer fire department, and it raised their property taxes by 540%.
uh,
And that tiny community has formed a Facebook group. They go to meetings. They're huge. And it was one of my most watched episodes on Project Next, because that community fighting that issue watched it.
yeah,
And that's how you do it. And it was a group of people that didn't know each other, and now they're friends, and they're working. They even had like a meeting in person at one of their people's like barns. It's just like a really powerful story of local communities can fight back. There are a lot of people that can't afford that 540% property tax increase, and they need to fix the issue. And if these government officials that's in their tiny little town don't do it, they're going to elect other people that will. And so it's power to the people. And that's how we do this.
well, I'm proud, and you know what? I want to know my neighbors. I felt
Me
so
too.
bad for my next door cop that I yelled at and screamed at him, and I felt bad that I had to go
Well,
over.
you went and apologized to him. That was really
Well,
beautiful
I
of you.
prayed with him, okay, because I really did feel bad, and I was not, that was not my best behavior, but I had to tell him, "When you come over as a cop, you come over with a badge and, with a gun and authority, and I don't believe police reports anymore. It's hearsay, in my opinion." And you know what? He said, "Yes, Jonathan, I get it," and it's woken him up, to a couple things, and I said, "This is how real it is." I said, and this is what I've told
Get
this.
that phone out and record, you guys. Get that phone out and
Yeah,
record.
well, I have videos, yes, and I told them, I said, "If you pay my price for my property, you guys can have it, but until that happens, we will see." And I don't wanna be about money, I just have to recoup my cost
Well,
of
you
the.
have a beautiful thing with your family farm and your family local business, and that deserves protection. And I'm really grateful your family has you. You seem to be the main advocate for it. You are going above and beyond what most people would do to fight for something. Most people would be hopeless, give it up, be sad, put their head down and just keep going. And I'm really thankful that you're not, because we wouldn't have met anyway, any other way. So,
Well, thank you. God bless you, Sarah.
and I hope I hope you adopt this kitten. The kitten clearly loves you.
Yeah, it's been 2 days, and I felt really bad, and it is very needy, I will tell you that.
Oh my gosh,
Well,
I want to snuggle the kitten so bad, but we live so far away. This is painful for me. Cutest kitten ever. So you get, listen to the sad stuff, watch the adorable kitten snuggling. I have loved it so much.
yeah,
Okay, you guys, I will try to do more on this issue. If you could please share it with everybody, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Project Next, and also our Substack, Project Next Indiana, and then share it if you're on Facebook. Share it with your friends. You can copy the YouTube link and send it to people. When your public officials find out that you are more aware of these non-disclosure agreements, of the money they're making behind the scenes, they get nervous and they do less shady activity. They,
amen,
and that's how we stop it. We shine a light. And since local papers and local news doesn't do as much as it used to, we the people do it. So
amen.
yeah, yeah. Everybody have a great day. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I know you rushed home from work, and it's a different time zone there, which is exciting. I'm glad we didn't get the times mixed up. And yeah, it was really exciting talking to someone from Oregon. Sad for the reason we're talking, but this is how we do it. We the people, let's do it.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.